A few days ago in New Zealand, a car, petrol-powered car, crashes into an electric bus. The petrol-powered car catches flames. Someone dies. The media create a narrative that the bus had set itself on fire and was causing toxic fumes to spread all across New Zealand, all across New Zealand's biggest city. This was a completely fake story, and the media all just ran with it. By the time the actual truth came out, well, the damage was done. Lately, there's been a tremendous amount of propaganda against electric cars, and one of the events, in fact, two of the events I should say, were in New Zealand. A bus caught fire, and the media, YouTube channels, the general media said, it was an electric bus catching fire. This shows the danger of electric vehicles. They are so dangerous, you shouldn't be using them.
Fire and Emergency New Zealand were called to the scene here in Auckland's Parnell on Tamaki Drive just after 9 p.m. when an electric bus and a car collided.
Then there was another story a few days later showing a massive fire in a car park, which many of the commenters blamed on EVs, even though it was clearly from the exhaust of a pickup truck. Hello, my friends. Welcome to the channel. I'm Sam Evans. You're watching the Electric Viking. A story on the 23rd of October said one person was confirmed dead after an electric bus fire in Auckland, in New Zealand. So, a so-called lithium-ion battery expert said that chain reactions and toxic fumes are the reason a key Auckland route remained closed hours after a fatal electric bus blaze. Clearly, this so-called lithium-ion battery expert was lying, because the batteries never caught fire. Never. So this was from the New Zealand Herald.co.nz, that dickhead M guy who has a ridiculous YouTube channel that is fighting against reality. He obviously did a video on it as well. There's numerous people doing videos.
Fire and Emergency say this week's fatal Auckland electric bus blaze began in a petrol car and spread to the bus. The company which makes the bus's batteries says they were undamaged in the fire.
Councillor calls out anti-EV propaganda after fatal bus fire. This was a news report on onenews.co.nz. An Auckland councillor says he's disappointed with the level of misinformation circulating about a fatal collision involving an electric bus and car last week. The bus driver died as a result of the crash after the Auckland transport bus was engulfed in flames on Tamaki Drive in Auckland. North Shore councillor Richard Hills said he was saddened to see misinformation about the incident and the bizarre anti-EV propaganda on social media. And boy, oh boy, was there a lot of it. He took to social media to reassure people that catching a public bus was perfectly safe, and in fact, the fire had nothing to do with the batteries, and the batteries actually never even caught fire. Just like all types of vehicles, there will be times we sadly have EV bus collisions or fires, and we know batteries can be harder to put out. That's why there are fire safety systems and technology built in and around the batteries. Police confirmed their investigation into the crash was ongoing, and actually, here's the thing. The fire had nothing to do with the bus. A spokesperson for Fire and Emergency confirmed the fire started in the car's engine. Guys, I use PowerShop for my electricity to charge my EV for free between 12 and 2 o'clock during the day. I'll put a link in the description. If you sign up with them, you get a $170 discount to sign up. Also, my solar and batteries. I've got a 50 kilowatt hour battery here, and I've got a big solar array. So I pay $0 for electricity. That's including charging my electric car. Resync Solar is the company that I used. I'll put a link to them in the description below. So, crash happens. Bus does not catch on fire. Engine in the car does. Then the fire from the engine in the car spreads to the bus. But even though the fire spreads to the bus, the batteries don't even catch on fire. Bus operator Kinetic said an investigation found the batteries in the bus were undamaged and had nothing to do with the blaze whatsoever. But by then, no one cared anymore. And the media, fossil fuels, whatever it is, had done their job in really reinforcing the anti-EV narrative. Unfortunately, electric car sales in New Zealand have crashed. They're down about 80% this year versus last year. Hills said it was important that people remain confident about getting on a bus, and that data from the UK, America, and Australia showed electric vehicles were far less likely to catch fire than internal combustion engine vehicles. Yeah, far less likely. In August, we had an old diesel bus catch fire on the shore. 2 years ago, another diesel caught fire on Fanshawe Street. 10 days ago, 28 cars caught fire at Whangarei Hospital and were completely ruined by a hot exhaust starting a fire, which by some commenters, many commenters in fact, was blamed on an EV, even though it was clearly a diesel-powered pickup truck. None of those horrible incidents mean we should ban diesel vehicles, he said. Hills last night said Wednesday night's tragic crash was unfortunate, yet people were spreading misinformation and lies, and their thoughts about the incident and electric buses were clearly just made up and just simply fear and propaganda. There is no conspiracy here. The reason we are rolling out EV buses is to reduce emissions, reduce operating costs, reduce noise pollution, and reduce air pollution in Auckland, especially around the city centre, our town centres, and our neighbourhoods. Hills said people should think of the harm misinformation caused, especially when people had been killed or harmed. Check reliable sources, or even wait a day or two. Misinformation, particularly from the media, is rife when events are unfolding. People have different opinions, and that's okay. But I worry that people can be so clouded by those views, emotional ones, they forget there are real people dealing with things like this on the other end.